Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned earlier on today, the session for today is to understand the DIY filing walkthrough. So if you're an individual who wants to file their return of income before the 31st July deadline and you want to do it yourself, then at ClearTax we have an option wherein a customer can do a DIY filing. As the name suggests, it is do it yourself. Once you have collated all the documents, all you have to do is in three simple steps, you upload all the documents. Our software will do the hard work for you. It will do all the heavy lifting wherein all the computations will be done automatically by the software. All you have to do is at the end take a look whether the calculations are right or not and then proceed with the filing. So this is in three simple steps. Now let me take you through the nitty-gritties and the small items here and there. All right. So Indu, next slide, please. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, filing with ClearTax is very, very simple. If you want to go ahead and do your filing with ClearTax, please log into cleartax.in. Once you go to that web page, you will have two options. One, if you're a first-time user, then I'd suggest you please go ahead and create an account. However, if you're a repeat customer, all you can do is log in or sign up with your existing Google account, which you have used to open the ClearTax account. Next slide, please. Once that is done, the first step for filing the return of income is you go ahead and pre-fill your return of income. Or before that, here, as you can see, there is an option, click on start filing. Once you click on start filing after logging in, then you will be taken to a new screen. Next slide, please. So once you're on this screen, here is where the first and the most important step happens. Here is where you have to first go ahead and pre-fill and also link your PAN with ClearTax. Now, why this step is important, linking your PAN? Because ClearTax is a registered ERI of the government. So if you have to go ahead and file your return of income using the platform, then linking your PAN becomes mandatory. The next step is pre-fill. Now, what does pre-fill essentially mean? As the name suggests, it is something which pre-fills, that is filling up something. So pre-fill can be done by way of getting an OTP on your Aadhaar mobile number. Essentially, what pre-fill does is whatever is the data against your PAN, whether it is data pertaining to your income, this income could be income from salaries, income from capital gains, or income from other sources. And on the other hand, it will also pre-fill all the details of taxes deducted against your PAN. So basically, all your details of Form 26AS, whatever is logged with the IT department or whatever is already appearing on your income tax portal, everything gets auto-captured by way of pre-fill. And the advantage of this is not just the data relating to your income and taxes get occupied here, but also all the data that you have entered with respect to your own self on the IT portal. That is your name, your PAN, your date of birth, address, etc. Now, you may be wondering, why is this important? This is important because every time a user files a return of income, along with the income details, it is also mandatory to fill in a few personal details. So pre-fill essentially captures all that data. However, if you're in two minds about pre-filling or because of a technical snag that we just faced today, you're not able to go ahead and pre-fill, then you always have an option to skip the pre-fill for the time being and do it at a later point in time. If you want to do the same, then you can click on skip and proceed. Next slide, please. I can't do that. Okay, so once you have done that, once you have either pre-filled the return of income or you choose to skip, then the first option is uploading Form 16. So here again, all you have to do is upload your Form 16. If you have shifted employment during the year or if there are multiple employments, then you can go ahead and upload multiple Form 16s. Once you have uploaded your Form 16, our software will automatically calculate all the numbers and then present the final taxable salary to you. In the meantime, if you have any questions at all with respect to your Form 16s or your salaried income, we have also put out a FAQ on the right-hand side. So you can always reach out to those FAQs and read those FAQs if you have any doubts. Next slide, please. Once you have filled in all the details once you have uploaded all the relevant Form 16s, then this is the page that opens up. In the first page, we have to fill in the personal details of the users, the basic personal details, which is the name of the user, email ID, address, etc. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you have already done the pre-fill, all these details will be automatically captured as per the details which are already appearing on the IT portal of the user. However, if you have not done a pre-fill, you will have to enter all these data manually. Also, please remember, until the time you have linked your PAN or pre-filled your return, if you have not done the same, our software will keep reminding you to go ahead and do the pre-fill because it's a very important step. As you can see on the bottom right corner, we already have a pop-up wherein it informs the user or reminds the user to go ahead and do that pre-fill. Next slide, please. All right. So once you have done this, once you have filled in all the personal details, we move on to income details. If you have already uploaded Form 16 in step 1, you do not have to repeat that again. We go on to check other sources of income. That is income from capital gains, income from house property, income from business or profession, income from other sources. And also we have introduced a separate tab this year for income from cryptocurrencies, because again, we are seeing a large number of our users also being invested in cryptos. So whichever is the section applicable to you, you go ahead and click on add details, and then the software will guide you to the next steps. Next slide, please. So first we talk about, entering details of your capital gains. So if you are a Kotak user who has opted for Kotak Neo or KST and you are filing your return of income using the ClearTax platform, again, the steps are very simple. The first thing what you have to do is, from the list of brokers that we have, you have to go ahead and select Kotak Neo. Next slide, please. See, this is the page that opens up. Once you click on capital gains, we have a list of brokers partnered, whom we have partnered with, and Kotak Neo is one of them. So if you're a Kotak Neo user, please click on Kotak Neo. And once you click, you will have two options. Let us look what are those options. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. So here is where once you're a Kotak user, you automatically have an option to log into your Kotak Neo account through the ClearTax platform itself. Next slide, please. Sorry. Next slide. Yes. So here is where the previous slide, Indu. Yeah, here is where a user can directly log into their Kotak Neo account and import all the details. Alternatively, what a user can also do is go ahead and download the Kotak Neo tax P&L statement. A tax P&L statement is essentially your tax profit and loss statement, which will help you assess your capital gains from a tax perspective. So either a new user can go ahead and directly log into their Kotak Neo account from the ClearTax platform and import all the details, or the user can go to their Neo platform and download an Excel file for the financial year 23-24, because that is the relevant financial year, and come on the ClearTax portal and upload that file. Next slide, please. So once that step has happened, so here what the user has to do is he has to just go ahead and confirm whether he's a Kotak Neo user, and essentially these are the files he wants to download. Once that is done, you have to accept and continue. Next slide, please. Yeah. So if you want to, log into your Neo portal directly from the ClearTax platform, then there are certain details you need to fill. Next slide, please. Once you have filled in those details, you will be logged in. Once you have logged in, then you can download the statement. Next slide, please. Yeah. So here, once you upload the Excel file, then this is how the parsing is done. All the data is automatically computed by our software. The user does not have to do anything. The user has to simply log in and import the details. All the calculations will be correctly done by our software. Next slide, please. And here is where, as I mentioned earlier, you also have an option of going ahead and uploading an Excel file. So here is where you can go ahead and upload the Excel file. Next slide, please. Once it is done, this is the page that will appear. You simply click on proceed. Next slide. Here is where again you will get an auto confirmation wherein you have to confirm your PAN details. Once you confirm your PAN details, next slide, all the data is parsed. The process is ready. Next slide. Yeah. So with this, all your capital gain income will get computed. Besides that, we also have an option if you have sold any other capital asset. For example, you have traded in bonds and sold bonds, or you have sold agricultural land, or if you have sold any residential house property or foreign equity that you're holding, then we have various other relevant tabs under the capital gain section. Whatever is the asset that you have sold, please select the appropriate tab, click on add details, and then fill in all the relevant details and proceed ahead. Next slide, please. So once you have filled in all the details, then you can also go ahead and proceed and enter your income from other sources. Now, please remember with respect to income from other sources like interest income, whether it is savings bank interest income or FD income or dividend, all these details automatically get pre-filled if the same is updated in your AIS and if the user has done a pre-fill. However, if the user has not done a pre-fill, then all of these details will have to be filled in manually. Next slide, please. Yeah. Once this is done, then we move on to entering details from income from house property. Now, with respect to income from house property, it depends on the kind of house property the user owns. If the user has a self-occupied property, then the user can go ahead and take benefit of the tax deduction available on housing loan, which is up to rupees 2 lakh per annum for a maximum of 2 house properties in the case of an individual. So if it is a self-occupied property, you click on the first option and add all the details. So here again, you will have to enter the full details of the house, that is the address of the house, who are the owners of the house, and the amount of interest that has been paid. So the software will automatically compute whether if there is any pre-construction period or if it is only the current year construction interest. Such data will again automatically be computed. On the other hand, if it is a rented out property, that is to say, if you own a property and you're receiving rental income, then you add all those details in the field income from rental property. So here is where first you will enter the house address, then you will also have to give in your rental details, that is what is the total amount of rent that you're receiving. Then if you have paid any municipal taxes for the current year with respect to the house that you have rented out, you will have to enter the details of those taxes because it is deductible. Then our software will automatically take in a standard deduction of 30% and the balance will be offered to tax. On the other hand, if you have taken a loan against such house property, which you have given on rent, you can also enter the loan details. And lastly, it is mandatory that you also provide your tenant details. Now, here is where I would like to reiterate one thing. If it is a self-occupied property, in that case, municipal taxes or any property tax paid will not be allowed as a deduction. However, if it is a rental property, in that case, whatever are the property taxes or municipal taxes that you have paid, that will be allowed as a deduction. Next slide, please. Next up, we also have a specific slide for crypto income. Now, crypto income is something that is, we are seeing a spike in the number of users who are using or who are trading in cryptocurrencies. That is why we have also partnered with a lot of crypto brokers. So if any of your crypto platform is enlisted here, all you have to do is download the crypto statement from your particular broker, or you also have an option to go ahead and log into that particular broker directly from the ClearTax platform and import all the details. Now, few things that need to keep in mind with respect to crypto taxation is that, one, crypto and NFTs are taxed in a similar manner, wherein any gains that you have from your crypto will be taxed at a flat rate of 30% and an additional cess of 4%. Now, please remember this 30% rate of tax applies both for long-term gains or short-term gains arising from crypto. The second most important thing that a user needs to keep in mind with respect to their crypto income is that any losses that you have, that will not be allowed to set off against the crypto gain. All right, no losses are allowed as a set off. The entire amount of gain will have to be offered to tax. Secondly, no expenses also are allowed to be reduced from the crypto gains. Next slide, please. Indu, next slide, please. Yeah. So once that has happened, then we also go ahead and fill in all the tax saving details. So all the tax deductions. So whatever is the tax deduction that a user has in various sections, whether it is section 80C, 80D pertaining to medical insurance premium, or 80CCD2, which is your employer's contribution to NPS, etc. All those details are entered in the tax saving column. After that, lastly, we have the tax summary column. Now, this tax summary column captures a brief screenshot of all the incomes that you have and the taxes paid thereon and the tax payable, if any. Now, this page also gives the user an option to go ahead and compare the regimes. As you can see, we have an option there, compare regimes. So there is where the computation will be prepared both under the old tax regime and the new tax regime. And our ClearTax software automatically uses this regime, which is most beneficial to the users. All right. However, if the user still wants to go ahead and compare the regimes, he can see the comparison there. You can also download the detailed statement of the computation that has been prepared. And at any point in time, if you have a question or if you have any doubts in your mind pertaining to the computation or pertaining to any tax matter or also the tax liability, if any, you always have an option to connect with one of our experts. So on each filing page, if you see, on the right hand side, you will always have an option to connect with our experts. If you're stuck somewhere or if you have any doubts or if you want a second opinion, all you have to do is connect with one of our experts, click on that option, and you will be connected to a tax expert who will help you. Next slide, please. So as you can see, once you know if you're satisfied with the summary, then you proceed to the next step. If you have not already done the pre-fill in step 1 or earlier steps, then you will first have to finish the link pan and pre-fill. Once you have done the link pan and pre-fill, then we move ahead. Next slide, please. So here is where a user will have to pay the ClearTax filing fee. As you can see in the entire journey that we went through now, at no point in time did the user end up paying the filing fee first. We first want the customers to get the satisfaction that yes, the correct computation has been prepared, all the data has been passed smoothly, it was a smooth filing experience. Only then, at the last step, just before filing the return of income, a user will have to go ahead and pay the clear filing fee. Once the filing fee is paid, next slide, please. Yeah, a self-declaration has to be filled in. This self-declaration is for the purpose to mention that all the details that have been entered by the user are true and correct, and no details has been falsely given. So once the user goes ahead and completes this self-declaration, the filing page opens up. Next slide, please. Yeah, so the filing page opens up, and once the user clicks on file, automatically the return of income gets submitted. So once the return of income is submitted, you will get a pop-up opens wherein it is stated e-filing is successful. However, this is not where it ends. Here is the most important step. After filing, it is mandatory that a user goes ahead and e-verifies the return of income. Now, one may wonder, why is e-verification so important? E-verification is one of the most crucial steps in filing the return of income, and typically e-verification has to be done within 30 days of filing the return of income. However, we suggest that a user immediately does it because otherwise the chances of forgetting to e-verify the return become more. Now, the consequence of not e-verifying your return of income is, if you don't e-verify the return of income within 30 days from the day of filing, your return is invalidated, meaning it is as good as a return not being filed at all. And that is the reason it is very important a user goes ahead and e-verifies the return of income, which is a very simple step. If you want to e-verify your return, all you have to do is select the OTP option, and an OTP will be sent to your Aadhaar registered mobile number. Once you go ahead and put that OTP and click on submit, your e-verification will be done. Next slide, please. Once your e-verification is done, this is the pop-up that will appear wherein it will be clearly stated that e-verification is successful. So with this step, your entire filing for the assessment year 24-25 is complete.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.